Hello, Patreon. Welcome once again to Geekvolution After Dark. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
Hey, Eric, how's it going?
It's going all right.
I'm so excited about Geekvolution After Dark. It makes me want to talk so loud, maybe we click at the top of the peaks.
Yep.
But I think the microphone's good enough that that's not going to happen. You know? Unless I, walked right up to it and just screamed in it really hard. And then you grab your headphones, and then you'd be like, I'm never watching Geekvolution After Dark again.
You know, that is the worst with movies. I guess it doesn't work in headphones, but I was watching something the other day that was one of those. It's maybe one of the worst I've ever watched for the... Then the dialogue, it's really quiet like this. And then the action is way up here! And you're like, Jesus Christ.
And music cues and stuff?
Yeah. God, I can't remember what I was watching, but I was like, this sound mix is awful.
One of the worst sound mixes of all time, and I don't know if Netflix fixed it or if it's just on the DVDs. First couple seasons of Enterprise, oh my god.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really bad.
I can't remember what I was watching. It was something that was really pissed me off. I think it was something I was watching with my girlfriend. We're like, we're like, we can't hear it, and then we turn it up, and then like the action would happen. Like, God, it's so loud. And my TV's one of those TVs. I'm sure you've encountered these televisions before. It goes to about 30. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it doesn't appear to be getting any louder. It goes to 100, but after 30, I cannot audibly tell the difference.
TV is lying to me.
Yeah, like I'm like, you're not getting loud. Like maybe like a little bit, but not like 25 to 30 is a difference. 30 to 40 is nothing. Like 30 to 100 is nothing. Like sometimes you've probably never even know. There are times I've had my TV up to like 95.
Wow.
People in the house, nobody knew. It's useless. But it's not the only time I've ever had that on TVs. Now, my TV's a little bit smaller, and so maybe the speakers are limited, but why don't you just go to 100, and 100 is what 30 is.
Yeah, or just go to 30, and then not have anything after 30.
Yeah.
If that's your max volume.
Yeah.
No, it's weird. It sounds like it's either your speakers are like partially blown somehow, or the TV
I guess it's
is
possible
lying
to listen to it
to
loud.
you. Yeah.
This is one of the sound mix movies, and that's what blew it was.
Yeah.
But,
so I don't know. That's weird.
Yep.
You know Johnny Cash's "Hurt."
Yeah, of course I do.
You know that song?
Yeah,
it's a great song, right?
Song.
Yeah, and the Nine Inch Nails version is just okay. Like, they wrote a pretty great song,
yeah.
but they didn't sing it right, and then Johnny Cash made it amazing.
I have met people that think the Nine Inch Nails version is better.
Well, they're wrong, just objectively. But Johnny Cash...
It's also one of the best examples of people think that the original is a cover.
Yeah.
I've heard people talk disparagingly about this shitty Nine Inch Nails
That's
cover.
because one of these was a huge hit, and the other one was a minor hit.
Well, because
I think. I don't think the original "Hurt" was a huge song.
"Hurt" is not one of their radio songs. That album's big.
Was it like a deep cut? And
so I think "Downward Spiral" is their biggest album. It's definitely their. It's Trent Reznor's. It's just Trent Reznor. But that's Nine Inch Nails' breakout album. That's what gets them noticed. So like, it's on their big album. It's just not a radio song. That song has. That one song that I cannot believe, or that album has that one song that I cannot believe is a radio song, I Want to Fuck You From the Inside.
Is that on that album?
That's on the album.
Yeah.
Every Nine Inch Nails song you've ever heard that's not Every Day is Exactly the Same is
How did that
on
become
Downward
a single?
Spiral. I don't know. And it's so poorly edited. It's because the track is I Want You From the Inside. Yeah. I'm like, that's just the word. I have a whole thing about censorship in music.
You know what's even crazier? And then in a minute, I'll tell you why I even brought this up. But you know what's nuts about that? That song played at a high school dance I went to. I was like, this is weird. Like, I'm dancing in 11th grade. I wanna fuck you like an... Except it was the edited version.
Well, and...
Like, that helps!
Well, Pumped Up Kids is like that.
It's like
Pumped
all
Up Kicks
these
is like
children
that.
on the dance floor know what he's saying.
Did you know Pumped Up Kicks? Where it's all these kids pumped up kicks, run better, run faster than my bullets. Guarantee that plays at high schools too.
Yeah, but see, it's fine because it doesn't have... It's fine because it doesn't have any profanity in
There's
it.
one that actually uses gunshots in the song. I can't remember what it is. Wow. But I'm like, how is this still a radio song? In this climate. In this economy.
The reason I brought up "Hurt" is because I don't know if it does this if you play it on the vinyl record, because I've never played that, but...
We're talking Nine Inch Nails, we're talking Johnny Cash.
We're talking about Johnny Cash.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the the CD does it, but like if you play it on Spotify or YouTube or anywhere, it does this. It clips at the tops toward the end. It's like it's mic'd wrong.
Well, so
it's really interesting. You ever notice that?
I'm sure I have not.
Where like it sounds like it's starting to blow the speakers out, like it clips at the top.
I'm sure that one exists now.
It's
but
like
when
artifacting.
he puts out the American recordings, would there even be vinyl versions?
I'm not sure, but I'm just saying,
that's the mid '90s.
But I'm just saying the reason I said vinyl is just like if you listen to it in the purest best version of that recording, like the best transfer,
it probably doesn't.
I don't know if it does that, but if it was mic'd wrong, it would. And it's just really interesting if a song that was that huge was
Poorly
recorded
mic'd.
that unprofessionally. But here's the thing. I don't know if, and some of you guys might know this, I'm not sure. If Jeffrey's watching, he probably knows this. I know that, this is what I'm fuzzy on with the American records. I know that when he and the producer of those started putting those together, it happened because he went in, I think this is the story, he went in that guy's living room and he started just playing songs and they were recording them, but they weren't supposed to be the recordings that were going to be used for the records. And then they actually went into a studio and recorded them. But there was a rumor
Is it
at one
possible they
time
thought some of them were
that
better?
some of them were actually better in the living room and they just used them. And Hurt might have been like that. I'm not sure. I'm sure somebody knows this. I just don't.
I love those albums.
Oh, they're amazing.
I
All
listen
of
to them frequently.
So do I.
It's a go-to for writing. Is I listen to those.
I still can't believe he recorded American Jesus. I think that's the funniest fucking thing.
Yep.
But anyway, well, hey guys, thanks a bunch for watching, and thanks for all of your support. As always, we sure appreciate it. It's time once again for Geekvolution After Dark, and Eric has topics in his phone, and they're gonna blow your mind. You know how I know? Because it's Eric, and Eric always blows my mind, but my standards are like really low is the thing. So like, don't let it go through your head, okay? Eric, do you have something cool that you want to talk about? Something do you have something fascinating?
Well, I have something that we were like briefly talking about before we recorded, and I was like, yeah, let's make this a topic. So,
Cool.
Because it's something I've been thinking about.
So does it mean that now we have to be less brief or more brief? Less brief.
I think so.
Probably so. We'll just see where the conversation goes.
So this is something I've been thinking about. So it shows up on. I'm not attacking people. I'm not attacking anyone. I promise. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm just talking about this in a clinical.
You can do whatever you want to on the show, but just remember the consequences could be anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the and I will never remember the name, the super secret superhero screen society.
I don't have a drink. I had a drink, and then I think I drank it all.
I think you drank your Mountain Dew.
God bless America. Like, at some point, you know what? It's after dark. At some point, I'm probably just gonna get up, and I'm probably gonna make you just talk by yourself. That's probably gonna happen. Anyway,
but in the Secret Scroll Society,
I'm not even gonna correct you.
There's a comment I've seen a couple of times from a couple of different people that
Oh wait, there's like a little bit left.
really bugs me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's a fundamental misunderstanding of an idea, but I also have to stop myself every time I see it from not responding like real quick, which I've never responded to it, but I think about it every time,
He's responding now.
which is people have complained that it's an echo chamber for MCU hate.
The SSSS?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, so
Here's why that's wrong.
Okay, because I also have reasons. What is your reason?
Because there's like discussion
It's a
and
very
civil argument, and there's people who don't like the current MCU movies that are complaining about them, and then there's other people that come in and rebut them.
Yes.
I don't see how that's an echo chamber.
I agree.
That's all I'm saying.
I agree. I do think
If you were a person disagreeing with Dan and Eric and other people who are really down on MCU right now, is it okay to say that?
Yeah.
Is it okay that you're kind of down on MCU? I mean, you didn't
Absolutely.
like Endgame, and that was like the big major movie, and then,
Yeah.
like, is it okay to say
And
that?
it's gotten worse.
Dan's kind of down on it.
The
too.
more I
Dan
think
loves
about
Spider-Man, but he's got issues with a lot of the. He
And I
didn't
like
even bother
Spider-Man
with
a lot.
Captain Marvel. He was like, "Fuck that, I don't care."
yeah,
He might watch it eventually. He doesn't care. But if you're one of the people that is arguing with those guys about that, and there's not just one of you doing that, and there's not, I don't think, just one person. There's lots of people in there that seem to like the MCU. There's not. Then you folks are making it not an echo chamber.
Yes.
You're making it not. By making that complaint and talking about it, you've already destroyed the echo chamber. Good on you.
Sure.
Like, let's have conversations.
Sure.
That's what it's for. You guys are doing what you're supposed to be doing in there.
Those aren't exactly my points, but I do agree.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's varied in the first place.
I think it's
so
varied,
not
yeah,
so it's
sure.
not echo chamber. Now, I do think we all kind of came to an agreement that MCU kind of sucks at fight scenes. Like their action scenes not good. I think everybody kind of was like, well, for the most part, yeah, okay.
There were a couple people who said like it's never that started because of the discussion we had about the Deathstrike fight in X2, and people were saying there was never a fight in superhero movies ever after that's like that, which is true. I mean, it's a really unusual, cool fight scene. But folks saying that MCU never even gets close, I was like, I don't know. Here are like 3 or 4 scenes in Winter Soldier that I think are really well choreographed. Like, people saying that there's no good choreography in MCU, I'm like, there's at least stuff in Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier has some...
That Batrock fight, I don't, like...
Winter Soldier has some good ones. Iron Man 3 has some good ones. Makes sense, because Shane Black's an action movie guy.
Yeah. And
yeah. The one where Tony has, like, partial armor is a fantastically choreographed fight scene. It's a lot of CGI, but, like, I think it's just Robert Downey Jr. on wires. Like, that's a good one. There's not no good ones. I'm also not sure if they've ever had a great one.
For the most part, you're right. The MCU's not great at fight scenes.
And that's, like, a lot of them are fine. But, like, there's very few great ones. And Scarlett Johansson cannot do action scenes. It's going to be a problem with Black Widow. She just can't do them. Or they don't let her. I'm not saying she as a person can't. They're not making her. So here's the thing that bugs me about the comment of, this is becoming an echo chamber, this is an echo chamber, whatever. Mm-hmm. First of all, go to the rest of the internet and that loves the MCU and complain that that's an echo chamber. Right? Like, is the rest of the internet an echo chamber about the positiveness of the MCU? Not complaining about that. If the group was all positive MCU, would it get the comment from those same people, this is an echo chamber? And I don't think it would. And I think people use echo chamber incorrectly like that. Where it's just like, if you see a bunch of opinion you don't agree with, it's an echo chamber. If you see a bunch of opinion you agree with, it's not an echo chamber. But also, I think by its very nature... Or you don't care
that it is, but you're not going to say that anymore because it has negative connotations and you're happy with the consensus.
Yeah.
The consensus is only okay if it's what I want it to be, is what you're saying. I really don't want to attack people.
And I'm not saying that's what people are doing. But that's the comment. Every time I see that comment, I want to immediately respond, do you go to places that only are positive about the MCU and complain that it's an echo chamber?
Sure.
But here's the other reason why it's not an echo chamber. It's a group. An echo chamber is when you set up your social surroundings to be, like, if all of your Facebook is conservative or liberal, that's an echo chamber.
Yeah.
You're building your life around that, like, right? Like, you're intentionally making it so you're only getting feedback that's what you want.
Yeah.
Is a group really an echo? Unless if your only interaction with the internet is on that group.
Yeah, if, like, we all got together because we were all not just like-minded but thought exactly the same way, I guess you could kind of use that word. Now we're kind of quibbling about semantics, maybe, but I think a better word to use, like we have been throwing around in society the word echo chamber a lot lately, and you're right. Typically what that means is I only allow myself to be informed by certain outlets.
And exposed to...
Exactly.
Ideas I already agree with.
I think the sentiment that you're looking for there is tribalism.
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
groupthink.
Yeah.
And it's a group.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's what you're looking at. Now, I don't know that I don't think that's accurate either, but I'm just saying in that particular case, because I think we're seeing a lot of different personalities in our 38-person group that all have different opinions about things.
I think part of the reason it's big in the group is I think it's a bunch of people that have issues with the MCU that don't have a good place to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the internet is a pretty much consistent...
it's great.
MCU's amazing.
Don't be critical of it.
Yeah.
With the exception of sometimes there's too much humor. I mean, like, I also wouldn't call the whole internet the echo chamber for it, because I think we are seeing a larger contingency of people these days that do have issues with the MCU. And I think I think at the same time as you saw a lot of people come out and love Ragnarok for being a big giant jokey movie.
$100 million Austin Powers movie.
I think you've also heard
without the subtlety of Austin Powers.
I think you've also heard the MCU is too jokey complaint louder since then.
Have you?
I have.
Okay.
I have. Now, maybe some of that is because I talked to you and Dan, but I have, and in other places, and I think
It's got...
I think there's a louder group now than there used to be.
And I used to be a big defender of that.
Yeah, me too.
I used to really fight back against that, where I was like, no, it's not. And I still don't understand how people loved Ragnarok, but think Iron Man 3 is too humorous.
Or Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I do not understand.
Just saying, I don't understand.
I don't understand it. But no, it's this.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
But I think the MCU and society as a whole and narrative as a whole, kind of, it's mainstream entertainment that's doing this.
Yeah.
Because, again, like, John Wick's not doing this. Like, I guarantee you the fucking Dune movie's not going to be like the Star Wars movies. Mm-hmm. Everyone's not going to lose 30 IQ points and be an idiot to make a joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you go completely out of character.
But I'm also willing to bet that movie's not joyless. Because you can be not joyless and not have to interrupt your movie with an SNL skit. You can be fun.
And I want to say something you might not agree with, and like you can say I'm drinking the Kool-Aid if you want to, because maybe I am. I don't know. But I think it's weird that you have a lot of franchises lately that have more embraced Deadpool humor, but Deadpool did it better. I think that's really weird. Like, Deadpool is that humor because it's the humor, and so like you like that or you don't like that. But I feel like, especially in that first movie, like, we didn't have to dumb down any characters in order to make jokes. We just made them whatever they were in the first place. Like, everybody's pretty consistent in that movie. Like, you see what I'm saying? But then you have all these other movies that like embrace the Deadpool humor, but just in the moments where they want to. Whereas Deadpool is just that kind of humor.
And Deadpool, like, it's weird. So the MCU movies aren't stopping the movie and like looking at the camera exactly in the way that Deadpool literally does. But boy, does it feel like that. And it's multiple characters. Deadpool doesn't have that. Deadpool's characters all feel like realized characters. And
they play it straight, but it has a lot more comedic characters.
When a scene stops, it's because he's stopping the scene and like directly addressing you. And that's his Whereas I feel like a lot of Marvel movies, I feel like the scenes are stopping. But they're not addressing me. And also it's multiple characters, not just the one character.
Yeah, so like, it becomes an internal logic problem. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you see why I said that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think Deadpool has been incredibly detrimental to comedy and comic book movies. And
yeah, I do too, even though I really like that movie.
Well, I also love Joss Whedon, and Joss Whedon's the beginning of all of this.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's his fault.
It's all
he
your
ruined
fault.
everything.
I love you, but it's your fault. Are there more people in the secret society that are down on MCU than not? Because I don't think that's true either.
It's hard to say.
Or is it? Okay. I don't mean to make all this about secret society, but you started from that place. I
think there are more people that comment regularly that are down on it than people that comment regularly that aren't down on it. Okay. I do think that is true. Maybe.
Can I say that some of us are both or on the fence, or it depends on the movie? Because I mean, like, I think some people would throw me in that camp too, but like, I'm still enjoying a lot of things in the MCU.
You like Endgame? I don't think you're in that camp. Because almost all the people I'm seeing that are very negative on the MCU are also anti-Endgame.
I'm getting that complaint in videos.
That you're too anti-MCU?
Yeah. A lot.
Okay.
Because I did that video a few weeks ago where I was talking, like a week before we got the slate, God damn it.
Yeah.
Where I was talking about...
Yeah, but you talked about everything was in that slate because they didn't reveal anything.
I know, yeah, exactly. I did. But everything but Blade in Phase 5, whatever the rest of it.
Yeah, but Blade wasn't even really announced. They just said it's coming.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so I did that video where I was talking about the future of the MCU and how I'm wondering if they're going to have issues keeping people interested after Endgame. And I got comments where people were like, okay, so Captain Logan just Marvel bashes for 30 minutes. And it's not really what I'm doing, but okay. And so, like, I don't know. I think sometimes if you criticize anything that people like, they think that you just don't like it, and they're not looking at the nuances of what you're saying, and they're not looking at the fact that you can, like, be really critical of a thing you like. We used to have... I like to bring... When I talk about this, I like to bring up this example. I used to run a Star Trek club. I did that for 15 years, and we used to have new folks that would come to Star Trek club that would take me aside at the end of a meeting and say, do you guys like Star Trek? Because we'd watch an episode and we'd just rip it to shreds. Mm-hmm. That's fun to do with things you like.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just is.
I do think that's a thing that's been lost a little bit culturally, but like Star Wars is like that too. Like back when you only had the 3 movies, people would find all of the plot holes and everything that like and like yeah, that's what you do with
and that's why I said on the Captain Logan show this week that I don't understand the idea of supporting a project versus looking at it critically, versus going, hoping you like it, and then making a decision about whether or not you enjoyed it, right?
That being said, I'm not seeing Thor 4. Like, I'm just not.
Sure.
It pisses me off that it's Girl Thor because I said that when they said Taika Waititi was coming back, and I'm like, I'm not seeing that movie. I hated Ragnarok. I'm not paying for it. And they're like Girl Thor, and I'm like, now I'm gonna get in trouble.
That's not what I mean. I understand because you're talking about an ongoing franchise and an ongoing narrative, essentially. So you didn't like the last entry. You're not gonna support the next one. But when I'm I get that. What I'm saying is this idea that you have to treat it like a sports team. That
Yes.
I'm rooting for this because it's Marvel and I'm supposed to like Marvel.
And I'm supposed to hate DC. The DC hate is not gone away.
And I have to completely turn off my critical brain and not have my own thoughts because if I don't support this, it might go away. And my reaction to that has always been, if it's not good, maybe it should go away and be replaced with something else. But also, I'm not going to pretend like I like a thing I don't, just because, I don't know, somebody told me I was supposed to.
I'm going to make a bold statement. I think that the MCU has outstayed its welcome, and I think it should have ended with Endgame, and I think the mistake it has made, or not the mistake it's made, because it's not their fault. This is just the cyclical nature of things, is when the MCU came out, it was fresh. Now it's everything. It is not just the voice of the MCU, it is also the voice of Star Wars and every other action movie out right now. Yeah. And once you are that, you need to die. And something else needs to replace you.
It got too ubiquitous.
Yes. What was a change of pace became the standard. And personally, I hate it when I'm all about balance.
Yeah.
And I hate it when I didn't like it in the 2000s when Marvel was too fucking dark, and I don't like it now when Marvel can't stop making comedy books. And even books that aren't sold as comedy books can't stop making fucking jokes. It really pisses me off. I want a balance. I want variety. And Marvel has now become the anti-variety. It is everything. And so it's time for it to die and something else to replace it on a conceptual level. It could still be the MCU. They could start making completely different kinds of movies and replace themselves.
I'm with you there. I still say, and a lot of people disagree with me when I say this, but I'm standing by it mostly for creative reasons, although I think it might have been a good business choice. I don't know. I still think Marvel should have taken a couple of years off, and I don't think it should have just ended and died, but I think it should have gone away for a while so that we could miss it. And then,
which is the Star Wars thing,
and I've had people argue, and I've had people,
and not just now because they're spiraling out of control, but like in between the original and the pre-trilogy and the pre-trilogy and this one, like you build excitement by absence.
And I've had people argue with me and say, well, like clearly they didn't need to do that because their other movies are doing fine, and I'm like, well, we haven't seen exactly what's going on post Endgame because the last Spider-Man movie was an epilogue, but like
and Spider-Man,
but like. You may be right. Honestly, you're probably right. We'll see how things go with the next phase. And I get that.
Well, I'm talking about me personally.
I know. But I want to say this real quick. And I get that there is a big gap between Spider-Man and the next thing that comes out. It's just I wish we had some time to breathe after Endgame and really appreciate the impact at the end of that movie, and then miss it and then bring it back. And then it would have been nice to maybe get more new blood in. And make and do these things a little bit differently than we have been. Now, it's also possible that's happening. Mm. It's also possible we'll have a very different flavor moving forward. But like, you're right. So like, I'm just saying that's what I would have liked to have seen. I'm not saying they're not going to make money. I'm not saying that we're not still going to have Marvel movies for the next 20 or 30 years. I don't know. I'm not saying that necessarily. But I can't say that I haven't had a little bit of a burnout here and there myself, even though I'm liking some of what they're doing maybe more than you are.
Well, and there's decisions they're making,
and it's not just Marvel; it's the fact that it has creeped in everything else. I don't disagree with that.
And there's decisions they're making where it's just like they're not giving me confidence. I'm tentatively excited about Shang-Chi. Kung Fu James Bond should be great. It's an indie director who's never made a movie where somebody throws a punch, and an actor from a Canadian sitcom.
Yeah.
That lines up with every other decision they've made recently, because that's not where we started. But that's Doctor Strange, and that's Captain Marvel, and that's
recently, yeah,
and that's Ant-Man, and that's
okay. But some of the issues that some of the more recent Marvel movies have been because either we didn't keep people we should have, or we would have been nice if we could have, but we couldn't have. It's not all Feige's fault. Mm-hmm. I wish Whedon could have made Endgame.
Yes,
for instance.
I agree.
But some of that is also because we kept people around too long, or we had them make movies that they weren't really ready to make. So I don't think the Russos agree for Cosmic. So I wish that after Winter Soldier and Civil War, we would have given them another smaller movie, or had them not make movies.
But could we have
for a
known that
while.
until they made those?
No, we couldn't have, and that's the whole thing. Is that, like, hopefully we learn from those mistakes moving forward. But when you worry or you say I'm tentatively excited about Shang-Chi, remember that, and I know you realize that could go either way, but just remember that that's exactly how Winter Soldier happened. That's exactly the same place that the Russos were in. They'd never made a movie like that, and they did it beautifully.
But it's not being familiar with their work, because they made on Community. They made episodes that were homages to. They have a Western episode that they shoot 2 gunfight episodes.
I get that. That's totally different from making a huge giant like special effects movie where like every other shot has an effect in it.
But it's something.
Sure,
But you know what I mean?
yeah, but you haven't looked at that other guy's work either. Like,
No.
maybe he's made stuff with homages to kung fu movies. I don't know.
Sure. It doesn't. I don't think so. Like, I looked into the movies. I didn't watch the movies.
Okay.
But I see what
sure,
you're saying.
sure. But like, it's not exactly the same
And
situation.
it's also Jon Favreau.
But
obviously.
dude, it's close enough. If I had never watched Community and I was like the only real track record those guys have is a sitcom, I would have been like, I don't know about this. You see what I'm saying?
Well, Jon Favreau's like that, but the action scenes are also a little bit of a problem in the Iron Man movies.
Yeah. Oh no, that's absolutely true. And he also started the whole thing.
But the Russos might be the exception that proves the rule, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Like, because I can't think of another one. It also helps that they were doing kind of practical stuff, especially in Winter Soldier. It's a lot of actual choreography and people punching and things like that. But anyways, what's your topic?
Let me throw out a real. Sorry, we're just like almost half an hour in. And I just
sorry.
thought but if you have more things.
I mean, that was like 3 topics, or like it kind of tangented, but that's what
really
After Dark
was.
is.
This one won't be like that.
Okay.
I just want to ask you a real simple question. I thought this might be kind of fun and interesting. This is not the superpower question. This is about a practical skill. What skill that you don't have, if you could magically like have a wish and give yourself a skill, would you give yourself?
Drawing.
Really?
Yeah. I can make comic books, and I wouldn't need anybody else.
That's true. Sure.
Yeah, I would be good at drawing.
You have one right away.
Yeah.
You didn't have any trouble with that at all.
No.
I also would like to have that. I think for me, cooking would trump drawing.
Sure.
I think it would.
Sure.
Just because I'd be a lot more likely to like make it in the wilderness. You know? Because that's a skill that I just don't have.
Do you want outdoors cooking?
Any kind of good, just cook. Yeah, that's true. That's well, okay. Practical skills of income would be great.
Some plumbing abilities.
Genie shows up. He's like, "You can have one wish. You can have any practical skill. What skills would you like?" Yes. Okay, Eric, it's your turn again.
All right. So I've had one on here for months.
Really?
Yes. I got one that's like a year old.
Wow.
I just keep never bringing up. But I've got one.
Do you skip it because it sucks? Is this Eric's shitty topic?
No, it's just one that I don't know if it doesn't immediately draw me, but like it's worth talking about. But like eventually I'll get to it, I guess.
Did you get a fortune cookie? Is that what happened?
No.
Oh, okay.
But this one has been on here for a couple of months, and so I do want to emphasize, I wrote this before Endgame, and I wrote this probably last year somewhere. It's not a year old, might be close to a year. I don't know how long I've had this. But, I do want to stress, I wrote this before Endgame, but I'm just doing it because we were talking superhero movies anyways.
Is this going to be another After Dark where we just can't get away from MCU? Is that...
Kind of.
Okay. Dan and I did that too.
Okay. Well, this is the only other MCU one. But I just dovetailing off of that. This is a thing that I realized. And Endgame drove this home, even though I wrote this topic. And I actually thought about right after Endgame doing this topic. And I thought it would be too close to it.
Too soon.
Superhero movies do not have enough adventures for the characters.
Yeah.
And so I'm never satisfied when it's over. I don't mean the individual movies. I mean Captain America's gone, and he did fuck all. I mean, Batman retires, and he fought one villain.
That's true with Batman. It's not true with Captain America. I feel like in 10 years, especially because...
But I'm not getting the other material. I'm not getting comics and spin-off things that are telling me nothing in those movies are indicating he is having other adventures I'm not seeing.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me. The point I'm trying to make is, in 8 years, which is hilariously the amount of time that was supposed to take place between Dark Knight and Rises. In 8 years, because Captain America doesn't come in until 2010. You'll remember.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know your history, okay? It's important.
There's still that missing 2 years between 2008 and 2010 that we don't know what happened in the MCU.
Yeah. It was just I don't know. Everybody was just excited about Obama, and then that was the thing. Anyway, so I think that. It might have been nice to have a sense that there were more adventures that Captain America had, I guess. But in the 8 years, it's impressive that we got as many as we did because you've never had that in any other superhero franchise. It was a way big... And it's funny you brought this up because I was thinking about this just the other day. I actually was considering... When we get to the end of Endgame, did Captain America go on enough adventures? I'm going to say yes, actually. I think he did. And
really?
Yeah, I do.
I actually,
especially because of
Civil War's I guess if I'm differentiating between Avengers and Captain America, he has one adventure. After he comes out of the ice, he has one solo adventure.
So I don't care.
Okay.
Captain America to me was always a team player. I never think of him by himself. I don't care.
Okay.
Sorry, me personally, don't care.
Okay.
I was impressed that he got to do as much as he did, and making all those team movies allowed that to happen.
That's fair.
And he didn't go on one adventure because the one in the 40s counts.
Since it came out of the ice, but yeah.
Okay.
And that 40s one is like 5 years, right? Like we montage
you
of
can't
it.
Serialize more than you can in movies that come out every year or two. If you can't do a TV show where you see him go on multiple events. You just can't hold movies to the same serialized standards you do comics. I realize that you would love these things to be as close to direct adaptations of comics and in the way we tell a story as you can, but they only come out every so often, and they're these big budget things. I also think that Captain America had to have done a lot of stuff as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. No,
he probably did. Captain America's probably not a good example, although I'm going to tie it into it.
Sorry, so when you said fuck all, I had to stop everything because I actually have been thinking about specifically this topic and that character, and I came to, he surprisingly did quite a bit.
I don't know if Iron Man did. I ran 3 movies, and, it kind of bumps me out. That's all he did. I guess part of it's because the major Iron Man stories never got hit. So it kind of feels like Iron Man didn't do a lot. I know he also has the team thing, but I don't know. There's a thing where I'm there's so much he didn't get to do.
You think about the fact that you got all these regular people on the ground always talking about the Avengers and how they're around and doing stuff. And I think they were trying to give you the sense that there was a status quo where there were superheroes running around doing things.
Age of Ultron and Civil War both seem to indicate that the Avengers are doing things in between.
Yeah.
Iron Man, I think, is retired between Age of Ultron and Civil War, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
He's not running around doing stuff.
No, but he was between 1 and 2, and he was between 2 and 3.
You mean talking about Iron Man?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's doing between 1 and 2. I don't know if he's fighting villains. I'm not sure.
He might not be fighting villains, but...
Well, that's all I care about.
Okay.
But
I have a much bigger issue with we didn't have Batman fight more than 3 characters in his rogues gallery.
And sure.
I have a much bigger, much harder time with that. Maybe I'm also more invested in Batman than I am any Avenger. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because also part of my issue
becomes a real subjective personal thing.
Because part of my issue is there's quite a few rogues for both those characters I didn't get. Iron Man's arch nemesis is going to be fought by Shang-Chi. And I like what we did with Iron Man 3, and I would have been fine to leave it there. But if you're going to give me a comic book accurate Mandarin, it does...
And I'm just not invested.
It does bother me.
It's going to bother me. It would bother me a lot more if Spider-Man villains never fought Spider-Man than Iron Man or Captain America villains. I don't even think of those as characters with rogues galleries. I get that they have them. I get that. It's just that all of those villains I've never read in solo stories. I've only read them in stories with multiple characters fighting them. I think of all of... And this is sounding hyperbolic. I think I do, with the exception maybe of Mandarin and Red Skull. I think of almost all of those 2 characters' rogues galleries as Marvel villains. It's just straight up Marvel villains. If we use them anywhere, I'm happy. So Dan is constantly talking about how it sucks even if we ever use the leader that he didn't fight the Hulk.
I agree with that.
I don't care.
Okay,
he seems like an interesting character. He can fight anybody. I don't care who he fights if we have a kind of interesting parallel between those characters. I don't care. But that's because I don't have the same investment you guys do. I don't read Avengers comics. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. No. That would bug me if the leader like is like the villain in what's one of the movies coming out, like one of those. Captain Marvel 2.
Yeah. And see, maybe it's just like an ignorant thing. I just don't care because I've never experienced it. Like, I don't care who Kang fights. I just don't care.
Well, Kang is an Avengers character. Like, he's not.
Yeah.
It'll be weird if he's not in the Avengers. Like, if he shows up in, like...
If he's a Spider-Man villain, that's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, that would be weird.
He's a time-traveling mutant now. And he's in the next adaptation of Days of Future Past.
But, so, one
he's Bishop's arch nemesis.
One of the reasons I brought Captain America is because I was kind of thinking about this with... I guess the Avengers things covers this kind of, but, like, one of the things the Marvel movies aren't great at, that's not like a problem exactly, but I just don't think they're great at, is conveying what the world thinks. I don't have a great sense of what the world in the MCU thinks of them, except for right after they save people.
You know what my biggest issue is with that? I totally agree with you on that. Age of Ultron pisses me off. With Tony at the end of that. How people aren't calling for his head, I don't understand.
We have to assume that no one knows that he did that. That's the only explanation for how the universe moves forward.
I guess, yeah. See, and some of it is because of how I interpreted that ending, and then I wasn't right about it. When he leaves, I thought he was on the run. I thought it was like, I better get out of Dodge.
And that would have been a great thing to bring up in Civil War with Zemo, where, like, Zemo suspects, at the very least, like, and I'm pretty sure you're responsible for Sokovia. Like, specifically.
Even if nobody knows for sure, how do you not have talking heads on CNN or whatever going, you know, Ultron looks suspiciously like an Iron Man armor. Right? Like, he's the person that makes armors.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as somebody sees Spider-Man running around in a dark suit in Far From Home,
like, that's Spider-Man.
Hey, that's probably Spider-Man. How's nobody like... Well, let's see. We got one super genius who builds shit like this.
Yep.
No, I don't buy it, man. There would at least be debate about it. No, that's the one that drives me craziest about that.
So, one of the things that they've talked about with the Winter Soldier Falcon series is that there's going to be, like, a bunch of discussion and debate about, like, Falcon taking over the mantle. Is the government cool with that? And, like, all of that, right?
Okay.
And public perception, which is what we do with that in the comics, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what anybody fucking thinks about Captain America in this world. I know he had trading cards in the 40s, but outside of being a superhero on the Avengers, I have no sense that he is an icon in the way he is in the comics. I don't have a sense he's Superman. Do you?
Yeah, he's got a museum.
But that was set up before he died. Or before he came back, wasn't it? Like, he's a historical figure, but I mean, right now, does the government think... It's like they made replacements. Unless they go backwards and retroactively do, like, the 50s Captain America thing that fought communism or whatever, like... I don't know if there's a debate about can somebody else be Captain America from the government, from the people. Like, I don't know if he's that kind of character.
No, I mean, you're right in that we don't have enough of a sense of where people fall and on like what side of the Civil War debate.
Mm-hmm. And like,
I mean, like that, how many of like regular people were on Cap's side versus Iron Man's side? I mean, well, it would be nice to know with that.
And outside of like him being a legacy from the 40s, like, do people in the MCU view him differently than they do Iron Man or Scarlet Witch or Scarlet Witch is also a criminal. But like,
well, that's true.
And like a straight terrorist.
I forgot about that until I went back to Age of Ultron recently, and I was like, oh, they just sweep all of that under the rug. Like,
Stanley did too.
Okay, all right.
Which I think I was thinking about with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies as I was going back to some of the 60s Spider-Man comics, was like, wait, are all my issues bullshit because he just accurately adapted Stanley's ability to write relationships?
Yeah, but you should improve on things that don't work.
No, I agree, but
here's the thing, and we talked about that with Hush. But here's the, we're like, well, you didn't really improve on a lot, so like if I'm just looking at this as just an adaptation of Hush, I mean, okay, it's fine, it's not any worse than the book. But it's the best review I could possibly hope for, I guess. But anyway, but with you have to admit that, you know, 2.5 hour movie, and there aren't very many that even go that long, it's really hard to find any place to put any of that. And hold on, and so TV shows would have been the place to do it, and they didn't talk to each other.
Yeah.
So like, if only Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. counted and wasn't boring,
But
then
do they talk about like Captain America like that? Like,
yeah,
everyone?
yes
Okay.
they do.
Okay.
Constantly.
Okay.
That's the thing, is that on the ground in that show,
Okay.
you do get that kind of awe and wonder and the kind of Marvel's sort of way of looking at it.
Okay.
But it sort
Ooh.
of pseudo counts. Like,
Ooh. Make me a 6-episode TV show for Marvels that retells the first 10 years of the cinematic universe from the ground.
that's what I want.
Yeah.
No, I've been saying that forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want. Absolutely.
But
And make the main character the guy from that book. I mean, it'd be
yeah.
great.
Just literally call it Marvels. Like, just do the MCU version of Marvels. Sure.
But we're getting What If, and I never expected that. So I mean, such a thing is possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially because, like, you would probably have to do some new CG and animate some stuff and show us things from different angles, but you could use a lot of the footage that's already in those movies. Like, I don't think it would be that expensive to make that show.
No, I don't either.
I don't think it would be any more expensive than anything that they're doing, unless you occasionally needed to, like, rehire actors for certain scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if it's all about what's, like, because the thing is,
but it's not
Marvel's is all about
thing.
the background.
Yeah.
So you just show the stuff. Exactly. You're not interacting with them. That's going on in the background.
There'll be someone in a car while Ironmonger is like picking up the other car and attacking Tony. You just shoot it from over here.
You know what it is? It's the first 5 minutes of BVS, the series, which sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying?
And it's also a good way...
Because that's just Bruce Wayne driving around dodging shit while the Superman and Zod are up in the air.
Yeah, that's exactly
and
what it is.
you never see their faces. You could they animated new stuff for that. Like, that's what you
that's
do.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I have this sense with Superman movies where, like, by the time that they're over, I just like, you didn't get to do all the things I wanted you to do.
That's fair.
And it's not as bad as TV shows.
I'm only arguing with you because for me, it's not as big of a problem as it is for you.
But we're also getting to the you're not as invested in those characters as
I know.
I am.
You're right. You're right.
But
you're right.
It's not as bad as the superhero TV thing, which is we're going to start everything as far away from where it's supposed to be as possible, and we promise we're going to get there. And we never get there. We go off course immediately.
Yeah.
We never get to the status quo as we're promised. So we never got the Flash show. We never got the Green Arrow show. We started so far away from what those were supposed to be, and then we went our own way.
And this kind of sucks, and this is where I'm going to be kind of making your argument for you, but like...
And they got enough adventures.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, the Flash still hasn't fought the fucking rogues.
It does... I mean, we don't know that because we haven't been watching it, but I don't think he has. So...
Half more good guys.
When you get to Endgame, it does sort of feel a little bit like we spent 10 years and 23 movies or whatever it was, and finally we're sort of at a regular Marvel status quo. Like, it's the same issue that you and I
and now it's over.
A lot about, right, because we got rid of the some of the big main characters, the 3 of the 6 Avengers. When you we had the same problem with a lot of movie trilogies that are like prequel or like that are like prequel reimagining things like Star Trek, and like even Bond had this problem
has the weirdest one
to some degree, where you get to the end of a movie and finally it feels like that character is finally the character that you know, and you're going to have to wait till the next adventure, and then you get to the next adventure, and then we're still kind of doing...
In the Darkness is bad.
Setup, and it's the worst. It's like, and now the 5-year...
Oh, I disagree. I think Skyfall is actually the worst for that. Because you have a movie...
I mean, hyperbolic. It's bad is all I'm saying.
Because you have a movie that gets you to James Bond, and you have a second movie that gets you to James Bond, and you have a third movie that says he's old and maybe should be retiring, that concludes with, and now James Bond begins.
Nuts.
It's a great movie, but that aspect of it does not work.
And that's
It doesn't work in sequence.
And honestly, Skyfall is actually almost a better movie if those other 2 movies didn't get made.
Yeah, no, it absolutely
Because
is.
you could treat it like...
if Skyfall was the movie After Die Another Day.
You could treat it like Daniel Craig is playing the same Bond you saw last time, and that it's not a reboot, and now he's old. Because I think that movie watches okay that way.
It does. If that was the movie After Die Another Day, it's perfectly fine next Bond movie.
Like, I guess the only problem with it is the whole like Q Branch thing, because it's not that character, and that character was there. But other than that, like,
I guess we kind of actually do that with Beyond, where like we have 2 origin movies, and then the 5-year mission has happened.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what we do. Where he's like, it's beginning to feel episodic, and I'm like, I didn't get to see any of those episodes. Like,
yeah, and I have that with the Marvel movies, just because they're the only ones that get to run long enough to do anything.
Yeah.
Everything else gets gets canceled.
It
Doesn't
doesn't
get an ending.
As I'm going along, as they're coming out in real time, it doesn't feel that way so much because I'm constantly distracted by different franchises and sequels. Where like, if you look at it as Marvel, whatever the next sequel, it doesn't feel that way as much as if you look at it as separate franchises. But it's both, and so there you are. No, you're not wrong. It just doesn't. Some of it doesn't bother me as much as it does you, and some of it absolutely does. As far as these characters didn't get enough adventures, I don't have that as much as you do. But the how did the people on the ground feel about it thing is a problem, and
I think now after Endgame, which I still think feels kind of like the actual conclusion of Phase 1. Like I kind of think this is book 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe it's a 3-part book, but this is the end of book 1.
I haven't been able to come up with the terminology for it. Yeah.
But now go back and make those fill-in comics. You're not doing any more Captain America adventures. You're not doing any more Iron Man adventures. I don't know what the fuck you're doing with Thor, but you could say Thor had adventures because you don't care about the comics. You're not going to do anything from those anyways. Like, go fill those in. We can finally have those because I don't know if you did you read any of the like prequel like lead-in comics? I read like a couple of them. They're bad. They're really bad.
I'm sure they are.
There's an omnibus of them.
That's crazy.
And
we've never done any other side material for that universe in comics.
But yeah, now is the time to finally put out like miniseries that are worth telling in the MCU.
See, I don't think that's how they should do it.
You don't think so?
No, I think they should do a companion animated show to What If and do it there. I think it would be better. I think it would be better on film than in comics. I don't like the idea of MCU in comics.
Okay.
It bothers me.
Okay.
I can't get excited about it. Even if it was good, I would have a hard because I don't think some of those costumes translate real well going backwards. Like some of them are straight off the page, but then when you redraw them going back, it just doesn't translate great.
Yes, Hawkeye looked great.
I don't think Captain America does.
Yeah.
Either suits. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if we have to, if we don't stylize it and really make it comic book, and that's not how we do it.
And it would feel more authentic if it was animated. If like with What If they got the voice actors.
And we got the
back.
Voice actors back. Yeah.
Like if Robert Downey Jr. came back. And
was I would like to see the Earth's Mightiest Heroes in that universe. I would much rather have that.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
And you can make it kind of episodic. Just jump around, You can have certain You
could call it Earth's Mightiest Heroes and just jump around. Like sometimes Avengers episode, sometimes the Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's Iron Man's fighting Cinematic Crimson Dynamo.
And then occasionally you could do a big story with all of them and as many as you want to do.
Yeah.
And the only thing I think you'd have to be careful about is not introducing too many new characters.
No, but there's so many things left dangling. Like. You could finally do Abomination again. You could do the Leader.
You could do the Leader. I think
that's where you do the Hulk stuff.
I think there's plenty of stuff you can do with the Guardians. I think you could do a whole Howard the Duck episode. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do that they've set up already.
And then you're not going to make a whole movie about.
You could do something with that. It's not a big deal if it never gets mentioned again. But then if they want to bring up stuff from it later and build on it, they can.
You draw a line. You say before Endgame. These are all the adventures you didn't get to see before Endgame.
I'm just saying I would much rather see it on screen than in a comic book.
That's fair.
I want that separation.
I went to comic book just because they're making comics and they suck.
Yeah.
I did once have someone, when I worked at the store, that came in looking specifically for those.
Interesting.
Seemed to only read those comic books.
Fascinating.
Yeah. God, they must have such a low opinion of comic books, but then they're looking for more, so. What is your next topic? My topics both took up a lot of time. They're about the same thing.
That's okay. Yeah, it was pretty much just part 2 of the After Dark, the special After Dark that I did with Dan. So if you hated that, sorry about this. But here's my next topic. Eric, what are your predictions for how things are going to shake out with the streaming wars? Disney Plus comes in, Netflix is maybe in trouble, say 3 to 5 years down the road, what does it look like?
Well, Hulu doesn't exist.
What's the landscape?
Hulu's gone.
I agree.
With Disney being the controlling interest in Hulu, Hulu goes away.
Sure. DC Universe also goes away.
DC Universe also goes away. Wasn't Warner Bros. talking about doing their own streaming service?
They are going to do their own streaming service. Yeah. That's why I say that's got to go away.
I saw a meme recently.
I'm hoping the comic side stays in some form somewhere else, because I'm relying on that a lot right now. But
I saw a meme recently that was someone that was like, It's like 2010 or like 2012, something like that. And it's someone holding the Pirate Bay like pirate hat and throwing it in the trash, being like, "I don't need you anymore." And it's Netflix and Hulu. And then it's like 2019, and they're picking it back up out of the trash. And it's like Netflix, Hulu, HBO Go, Amazon, Disney Plus, DC Universe. It's like, hello, old friend. Which is what everyone said was going to happen. It only kills piracy when you have easy access to a lot of material. Once it becomes a cable bill, everyone will go back to getting it for free.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens.
When Netflix is no longer synonymous with streaming, like when Netflix and chill goes away.
I mean...
And they're in trouble. There's been a lot of talk lately that Netflix is going to have to introduce ads in order to stay afloat.
Well, you know what Netflix's biggest mistake was? Fucking sucking. And stopping being what I liked about Netflix.
Yes.
Which was, they had everything.
Or they had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and stuff that, like, was, like, weird stuff. Like, they had the fucking Total Recall TV show for a while. And, like, you could...
They had Animorphs, man.
Yeah, you could find and discover things on Netflix. You're like, oh, I forgot about this. Oh, I didn't know about this. They're so focused on original content. Mm-hmm. They don't understand that the reason people went to them was because they were the hub.
Here's the thing. It's really easy. I completely agree with that, and I have criticized them for that. But I think it's easy retroactively to look at their business model now and say, you idiots, how could you not know this was going to happen? If you're them right after House of Cards and Orange is the New Black, that's a tough call.
Season 1.
What's your point?
Every Netflix show drops off in Season 2.
No, that's true, but they didn't know that was going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. After Season 1, I would have looked at Season 2 of every single show they've ever made and go, okay, so we don't know how to do this perfectly.
You don't know what the numbers are because they don't give them to us.
That's true. That's
so
true. Those could perform as well, but not be as quickly well received.
Yeah, and they don't care about that.
Yes.
Or they're not going to care about that as much.
Yeah.
You don't know what the numbers are.
They also...
The fact that they kept throwing money at it, and by the way, I don't think they've ever been in the green on that. I think they've been operating at a loss since they started making their own content. Like, they throw like $1 billion or $2 billion at it every year, and like I think I read the other day that they've been operating at a loss.
They also ended up with the thing that everyone said was going to happen.
Yeah.
Which is they lost all their quality control.
Right.
Back in the
They don't
day,
just put up anything.
back in the day, a new Netflix thing came out, and you're like, this is probably pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't have that. I now assume they're all bad.
No, we trusted it with Daredevil because of the proven track record of the couple of shows they had, right? Mm-hmm. And then after Daredevil, you're like, well, holy shit.
I think it's interesting that people try new Netflix shows. I only do on recommendation. I never try one on my own.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, same here. But all I'm saying is, when they were the only game in town, pretty much, with streaming when they started, where it looked like they were pioneering, and they were. I mean, they were pioneering what looked like potentially a new renaissance of television. You had a lot of people who started, a lot of companies that started competing and created a real renaissance of television. Mm-hmm. When they go, here's what I think maybe happened. I think they said, when we started, we were just a rental service for DVDs you get in the mail. And then we added streaming, and now we're two things. And now we have an identity crisis. Do we want to be a streaming service, or do we want to be a mail order service? The future is going to be streaming. We can see it, and we're going to create that future. So they kept the disc thing around, but their primary focus was the streaming. And if you'll remember, they tried a thing where they tried to like rename the DVD site of it so that they could be like two totally separate things, and it backfired on them, and they changed it back.
It's because it was like an additional cost.
Exactly.
It became more expensive.
Mm-hmm. And also it split their brand, and so they were like, okay, we're not going to do that now. So they don't want to split their brand because that didn't work when they tried.
Do they still do the discs? Is that still a thing?
I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure. I don't know anybody who does it anymore.
Really?
I started with Netflix 2 or 3 years before streaming, and I did the disc thing. I've been with them for well over a decade.
I did the disc thing. I don't know when they started streaming, but a good long while before I hear about streaming.
I was streaming back when there was a limit to how many hours you could stream.
Oh, interesting.
And they had Xeno on back then.
They had it for a long time.
They did.
Hercules
yeah.
and Xena.
But that was one of the first things they brought up, and Buffy came shortly after, and Star Trek came shortly after that.
X-Files.
They had X-Files forever. 24 was one of their staple shows. And
it was a mistake to lose all of those.
It absolutely was, yeah.
Well, not Star Trek, but I don't think they understand how important those things were to their subscribers.
Honestly, I don't think I'm going too far to say if they lose Star Trek, they're kind of done. Like, and maybe some other things, but I mean, like, I don't think they can afford to lose Star Trek. I think they've got a good, considering the fact that Star Trek's the only thing that keeps CBS All Access afloat. Everybody that's got CBS All Access probably has Netflix in order to watch Star Trek, or had it. I mean, you can also watch it on CBS All Access. But I'm getting off track. The point I'm trying to make is, I think that they maybe were trying to learn their lesson from that and say, we need to be one thing. And we need to focus on our own content, especially because there's more money there potentially, and make that and try to be a TV network as opposed to just a place where you can watch stuff that already exists or that we put on here after a season is over of something. And I think maybe they thought that was their next move forward. That was the evolution, just like moving to streaming was, because that was the smart move. And I think that's what they were thinking. And it's kind of backfired on them now.
They needed to then make sure that everything they made was an instant classic.
Exactly. And I don't know how they didn't predict that Disney would get into this the way they did. That's the big thing that baffles me is, like, they needed more contingencies in place.
But if they kept all of those things,
because they didn't know how to deal with competition.
Well, but if they kept all those things that they lost, if they made original content but continued to be the hub of most TV and movies,
they couldn't have.
Why?
Because
the
contracts.
Right now they would be losing all the Fox stuff.
Yeah, but not just that. Contracts. They lost a lot of stuff before that that they would have liked to have held on to. They didn't just start. They didn't just start losing. I mean, I think the bigger issue is that more of their shows aren't good. Then they lost a lot of. Now, I wouldn't be rotating things out as often as they do, but they had to deal with competition, and so now there are Amazon and Hulu, a bunch of other things. Now there are other services that are trying to get the contracts that Netflix wants. So now they're in a bidding war for everything. So
that makes sense.
You can't say Netflix shouldn't have dropped X show. They might not have had a choice in the matter. These things all have contracts, so when the contract comes up, then it's up to whoever owns that to negotiate back for it. And if they don't want Netflix to have it, they take it somewhere else.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
So Netflix is not to blame for all of that.
But I would have fought harder. I wouldn't have made, whatever they're making, and then I would have taken the money from a show that doesn't have any quality control and basically could be a CW show. I would put that in the Buffy and Angel.
I mean, the thing is, you can't say Netflix put. I mean, they put most of their eggs in the we're going to make our own stuff basket, but also remember the premium they paid. I just thought of this for both Gotham and Discovery, and those two things both backfired on them.
Mm-hmm. Well, sure, but those were preemptive. But I guess that's the only way to do it with new shows is to
because it's a bidding war.
Yeah.
Because there were other things vying for it. You're basically saying what Netflix should have done is found some way to stay a monopoly. That's basically what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what they should have done.
They couldn't have done that. Or like other companies should care about us enough to understand that we just want one service. What would be great is if somehow a lot of these companies could come together, form one service, and split the money. But of course, there's not going to be as much in it for them all separately as there would be for if one or two of them win the war, and that's what they're trying to do now.
I think within the next 5 to 10 years, Netflix and Amazon they're together. Amazon buys
interesting.
Netflix. Amazon buys Netflix.
Yeah, that's a good call. Sure.
That's in the cards.
Or Google does.
Google does not have a streaming service.
Although I don't know what their finances are like right now. I mean, I don't know if they could do a thing like that. But
yeah, I'm not sure. Either Amazon buys Netflix or they just merge.
Because Google wanted YouTube to be a contender with all of this, and YouTube Red was done within a year.
Mm-hmm. I think those two go together, but I don't think Google buying Netflix saves Netflix.
I also don't know if I'm right. I mean, that's just an idea. I don't know if that would happen.
but I also don't know if it financially would make sense for Google to do because Netflix seems to be going into a bad place.
Yeah. The thing you said about Warner's with their own streaming service, I think I heard someone say this the other day. I'd have to look it up. I don't know if this is... I think I heard HBO Go actually is theirs.
Warner's?
Yeah.
Oh.
That is their streaming service.
Okay. Well, HBO's doing a new one now. It's not HBO Go. It's like something else, right? Isn't HBO doing like an HBO something?
Yeah, I thought that was called HBO Go. Maybe we're talking about something else.
Well, they had HBO Go.
Okay.
But I think they're now going to... HBO Go, I think, was for the HBO TV.
Is that what it is?
I feel like they're doing a new thing. I feel like
Okay.
I heard HBO is launching a full-fledged, just like streaming platform.
But I thought I
But Warner,
heard that's
does Warner own HBO?
I didn't think they did, but maybe they do. Anyway, I don't know enough about this, but I thought I heard that the other day.
But even if they don't, partnering up is smart.
Yeah, sure.
So you get...
So how many will there be when the dust settles? Disney, absolutely, definitely. Amazon, absolutely, definitely. Right?
I don't know. Because I could see Amazon going away just in their streaming. I don't... Because...
But
they'll still stay afloat as Amazon. Like, Amazon doesn't go away. But that's not their only... But I think if Amazon and Netflix goes together, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. I think they're more likely... I think you're right. I think they're more likely to buy one. And then merge everything and keep that going. I think Amazon's going to want to stay in that pie.
And they can't buy Hulu because Disney is a majority shareholder.
Right. So you think Hulu goes away? That's done.
Hulu goes away. All of Hulu's things that they own or like have some kind of stake in go to Disney Plus. Although Disney Plus is you know what Hulu does? Hulu becomes is it Miramax, the edgy company that Disney bought in the 90s, where like Disney was Hulu is where they put their adult content.
Yeah, because they're not going to want that stuff on Disney Plus because they're going to want kids to be able to go there.
But it will be some kind of like a contractual thing where like you'll be able to get a Disney Plus Hulu service.
You're already going to be able to do that. Do you know about this?
No.
There's already a package deal.
Okay.
Well,
then
Disney
yes.
Plus comes out where you pay one money to have both.
Hulu will be...
They're already doing that.
Hulu will be adult content
You're right.
and shows that Disney doesn't own.
Yep.
But they'll still get money from them.
Right.
So
Yep.
Hulu and Disney Plus will exist and will be a co-package.
You think they'll take any of the stuff any of the old movie franchises that they got from Fox and turn them into TV shows on YouTube on Hulu? I think that could happen.
Maybe.
Especially,
Alien or...
And you know why I'm saying that? Because or even reboot them as movies, because we know they're already doing that with some of the stuff that they got over on Disney Plus, because they're doing a Home Alone reboot there. Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, they're doing that. And there's like 2 other things, but I can't remember what they are. So I wonder if they might do some edgier, more adult stuff on Hulu that are reboots of old Fox properties.
Yeah. The Predator TV show, like...
Yeah. Predator would make a great TV show, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But...
Anyway, I'm sorry.
But so you have Amazon, Netflix, you have Hulu, Disney. I don't know where HBO falls. CBS obviously is going away. That's not lasting. They will probably end up on the Netflix Amazon side of this war.
Or you're forgetting about the Viacom merger. What if Paramount attempts their own? Because CBS and Paramount are back together now, and that's a bigger thing.
I think if they're smart, I think what you're gonna start seeing is people being smart and lumping in with the big sides. I think they'll stop trying to do it on their own because they won't have a big enough part of the pie to justify making their own content.
Yeah.
Or for whatever prices. Like, if CBS All Access was just CBS shows. Like, if CBS All Access had Star Trek and Netflix didn't, and they were $1.99 a month, they'd be dynamite.
They're fine, yeah.
They're not doing that.
Yeah.
And they have to be able to justify the cost for Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Picard and Twilight Zone. And you're gonna start seeing people picking sides, and it's gonna be like the early days of Blu-ray and HD DVD, where you'll have to have both because there will be certain companies that only ally with one of them. Hulu won't have any Warner Brothers movies.
A lot longer.
Yes. Hulu won't have any Warner Brothers movies. And Netflix won't have any Paramount movies or like whatever. Like, you'll see a divide. I don't know where HBO falls. HBO is very successful. But I still don't know how much longer HBO can function while the streaming wars are going on. because they're getting movies
This
right
is
as they're
gonna
released.
This could be a nightmare for people, and I think you're right. A lot of people are just going to go back to
just going to torrent everything.
To torrenting stuff and stealing stuff.
It's
It's harder to put that stuff on a TV because you can't Roku it and you can't Chromecast it. And I think a lot of us are keeping streaming and not going. I mean, I don't want to do illegal anyway, but I mean, I think a lot of us are doing that because we can't conveniently put it on the screen we want to watch it on.
Yeah, but back in the day, we just put on a thumbstick and we just popped it on TV. So sometimes there's format issues, but
I never did that.
Okay.
And there's so much control you don't have. You don't have subtitles anymore. You like
some of them did.
Really?
Some of them did. Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Especially because a lot of them were just like straight DVD rips, so they just had everything.
Like, this makes me sound really lazy, but you just get used to doing a thing a certain way. Like, I'm so used to just like turning on my Chromecast and using my phone and streaming directly from it. Like, I don't like using anything that won't cast.
So are you $100 a month used to it?
Well, sure. I see what you're saying. But there's download times, and
you're also not assuming that we will just have a pirate streaming service that you don't pay for, right?
Wow. Yeah.
It'll just have everything.
I mean, that could happen. It ain't going to cast.
It might.
It won't, because that can't happen unless they're working with Google.
Okay.
You know what
I don't know
mean?
how hackers work, but I assume they could figure something out.
I don't know. For the longest time, Amazon was the big holdout. Like, they would not cast, and they finally added it like a week ago. And I'm so happy about that.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I couldn't cast from my phone on Amazon until first world problems. I understand.
And that's how Google will secretly win the war. Is everyone will have to go through them to cast.
And I don't even know how huge Chromecast is. I mean, it must be big enough that they finally caved, and like DC Universe had it from the beginning, which surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
So that must be. I don't know a lot of people that cast. I don't know why. It's like the most convenient thing in the world. It's awesome, and they're like $30. I've got two of them. I've got them on different TVs.
Yeah, my family did it. They probably still do it, but like they did it before I moved. Like, I never got in the habit of it, so it didn't even occur to me that like that would be a thing that would be like an issue with piracy. Because I'm like, okay, well,
Sure, yeah,
I'll put on a thumb drive, I'll hook it into my DVD player, and I'll just watch it like I used to.
yeah, and I'm like, oh my
Hope
god,
the files aren't
that's
confusingly
so
named.
much work.
But yeah, so I assume that we basically do 2 or 3, and just everyone starts partnering up.
Yeah.
And you will have to have all of them to get the content you want. But you will only have 2 or 3.
That's what a lot of people are assuming, and I'm with you there. The big question is going to be which ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to be who's going to make it. Who's going to make it out alive.
But
and how long is it going to take? Like, could this be a Cold War? Is this thing that goes on for a long time, where like we think the dust is settled? But here comes this like other volley from out of left field, where it's just like, oh, this big company was just biding their time. They've got this plan. Like,
you can never account for that. Assuming that doesn't happen,
yeah,
I will predict in the next 5 years Amazon and Netflix merge, and after that,
that's a really interesting.
It happens really fast.
Okay.
Once that happens, you will start having movie companies picking sides, and they will be on the Disney Hulu or they will be on the Amazon Netflix, and you will not have the like weird freeform flow that you have right now. You will have distinct. You know that if this movie comes out and it's I'm trying to think of movie companies, like all of Steven Spielberg's movies will be here, or whatever his production company is, like that's what you're gonna have. Sony will only, well, I guess Sony's probably over with Disney because of Spider-Man, but like Sony will only be on Hulu, Disney, and you know,
man, I hadn't even considered the way movie companies are going to affect this too.
I think you're going to see a straight divide where like the studios have contracts. All of their movies and TV shows go here. All of their, this company's movies do. I think that's...
Well, and obviously the biggest ones are trying to control that themselves. Which is why Disney, well before we even knew about Disney Plus, was having fights with Netflix.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's the next step. And that could happen before Netflix, Amazon, but if that does happen, that accelerates Netflix and Amazon merging.
I'm curious to see how many people get really fed up with all of this in the interim and just kind of give up on streaming.
I think that's I think that's also in the cards.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know how significant it'll be.
But
It'll be older folks first. It'll be people that embraced it because they couldn't believe the value they were getting for Netflix.
There are also older folks that were right and never went off cable, and their lives have not changed at all.
Yeah.
And now we're not dealing with this.
I mean, I don't think they were right because I think there's good stuff they missed. Unless they went and got the discs on
which a lot of people did do
on Redbox.
I used to have people that would come in and ask for TV shows that they'd heard about but were not on DVD because
they rented.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they want to rent it, but you couldn't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, most stuff came out, some stuff didn't.
Some stuff didn't, and like the Marvel Netflix shows were weird. Like season 1 of everything except for Iron Fist came out, but like Luke Cage season 2 didn't come out. Jessica Jones season 2
and they probably never will now.
Yeah.
Like,
well, Luke Cage was like Amazon exclusive. Like I don't think that even came out in the wild.
And you know what's crazy? This isn't streaming. This is neither here nor there. But have you thought about the fact that Agent Carter season 2 is just lost to the ages? It's just you'll never be able to watch that again without stealing it.
Is that true?
They didn't put it on DVD, as far as I know.
It'll show up on Disney Plus.
You think?
Yeah.
You know, maybe it will.
Yeah, it'll show up on Disney Plus.
I didn't even think of that. Maybe it will.
Or Hulu.
The thing is, I hate losing Agent Carter because it was the only TV show that felt like it counted.
Mm-hmm. But then, at the same time, we never talked about any of that stuff ever again. Like, it's gonna be the thing but it at least informs stuff. It it does Roxanne in the 50s and stuff. Like there's or the 40s or whenever it was. Like you're right. Maybe we didn't talk to it a lot, but it's history and lore that's building in the past on stuff from the present, which is a thing S.H.I.E.L.D. couldn't do as well. And so it feels like it counts more. And also it's based on a character that they kept occasionally using, whereas Coulson was just dead and S.H.I.E.L.D. wasn't a thing. Coulson is dead, right? Like for the movie.
I think so.
He would have been back in Endgame. Yeah. Right? Like, if he was alive in the MCU, he would have been back in Endgame. Yeah. Which, honestly, I like better. I like that he stayed dead.
No, I do, too. But if you just really wanted more of him, he's got 6 seasons of his own TV show. That doesn't count. But I brought this up before, but there is one thing that canonicizes it.
What is it?
Jarvis in Endgame.
Oh, okay.
He's there. And it's the actor they put in the TV show, and he was not in a movie before. Okay. That's talking to the TV show.
Okay. Well, and it helps that Rousseau's worked on that.
It's tiny. That's true. It's tiny, and it's not a big deal, but it counts. I mean, it canonicizes it in my mind.
I mean, the big thing will be Black Widow, because they set up the Red Room and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So and that comes from Black Widow history, so now, the writer of Black Widow says she doesn't give a fuck about comic books or backstory or anything, so probably won't be there, but that would be cool, and would further canonicize it.
Can I suggest that Black Widow, and we have not seen that movie yet, maybe it's great, I mean, we'll just have to see, I think that makes more sense as one of the Disney Plus shows.
That's going to make Ant-Man numbers, right?
Hard to say.
I don't think that movie's bombs or anything. I think they are way overestimated. I don't want to be cruel. Black Widow only mattered to people because she was the only girl for a while. And
there's people who are big fans of that character as a character.
I don't think anyone ever was. I think there was a lot of people liked her because she was the only girl, and now that we have other girls that have more interesting personalities...
I know I'm a broken record, you guys are sick of me saying this. She was fascinating in Winter Soldier, we just didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, we never carried on with it. Yeah. I'm not saying you can't make a good movie, I think you can. I don't think people actually care about that character. And the time to make that movie was before Wonder Woman, at the very least before Captain Marvel. It's not a win now. It's not a win to finally give her a movie. It's an apology. Now, I think that's not going to sell the movie super great.
And the very next thing you're doing, okay, so I think it's weird to call... You got prequels in phases, and I think that's weird. Maybe
now we're making in-between-quels.
Maybe I'm the only one. Yeah, maybe I'm the only one. Whatever. It's just how I feel about it. I think it's very weird to kickstart, and you can say Captain America, whatever, but that was bookended in the present. The thing, and I thought it was weird with Captain Marvel. The thing is...
there's no way to do it with Captain America. That's not a prequel. That's his movie. We hadn't brought them together yet.
Yeah. But I'm sure. I'm just saying that because that's the closest thing to an actual prequel we had before. We had a method with this where we always moved forward. We didn't do prequels, and then Captain Marvel set the precedent. Now we're making those.
And the Weird Guardians 2 thing.
The very next... What about it?
Guardians 2 is only 6 months later.
Okay. That's true. So, like, where exactly does it fall in the timeline?
Yeah.
But at least it's moving forward with those characters, whatever. But the very next thing you're doing after the Endgame epilogue with Spider-Man is a prequel set after Civil War. Like... You got to wait until the next movie before you have any sense of how excited people are going to be about the universe moving forward, because Black Widow is set in an old phase. Maybe they're doing that on purpose. Maybe that's them trying to do what I was suggesting,
and
kind of waiting.
They're making, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so like I don't mean to be a hypocrite. Maybe that's the point. Maybe that's what they're doing. But I don't know if that's smart. I don't. And it also feels like the movies starring female characters have to be in the past so far. That's weird. Why are we doing that?
That's true.
But anyway, I don't know. It's just like, I think the fact that it's a prequel is could affect what you're talking about.
It will also damage it.
Yeah, where you're like, I don't know if people are going to come out for it. I don't know if that's just because of Black Widow. I think some people are going to be like, okay, it's like Captain Marvel again. It's set in the past, and I get that movie made a lot of money, but I'm not convinced that it was really,
that made a lot of money because they told everyone
loved.
You have to see this for Endgame.
That's what I think. That's what I keep saying.
And it was the first female-led Marvel movie, and I think that did help it. Not as much as it would if it was pre-Wonder Woman.
Yeah, but it's not going to necessarily help a sequel.
No,
because I'm not getting.
And if she
the
keeps
sense
up her
that,
antics, I think it's going to get worse.
That's true, but I'm not getting the sense that she's anything like the cultural staple that we're hoping for.
She's not Black Panther.
I'm not seeing the merchandise moving. I mean, like, I'm seeing merchandise sitting on shelves that wasn't moving. I just don't hear a lot of people talking about her, like, as a character that they like or admire or even understand. Mm-hmm. Because I don't.
I'm also not hearing anyone excited for the second one. People are excited for another Black Panther.
Yeah, and I wonder if they wouldn't have rushed it out in the next phase.
It is interesting.
Kind of weird that in 2021 you're not getting a Captain Marvel movie, right?
It seemed like they were supposed to be the two pillars, and neither of them in the next phase. Not Black Panther or Captain Marvel.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
And Black Panther was a huge cultural phenomenon.
It was.
But like, Iron Man did big guns. The very next thing you did after Incredible Hulk was Iron Man 2. Mm-hmm. Captain America did fine. You did Winter Soldier pretty soon after, once you did Avengers, right? Like, Guardians, we rushed 2 out.
Do you think so?
It came out 2 years after the first one.
Yeah, but that's kind of how the Marvel movies started falling.
When I say rushed out, all I mean is it did well, so we went ahead and put the sequel in production. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man did well. We put the sequel in production. And some of that was probably contractual obligations with Sony also. But Captain Marvel did $1 billion, and it's not in Phase 4.
No, but
I'm a little surprised by that.
But neither is Black Panther.
Well, yeah,
we've been told both Black Panther and Captain Marvel are in Phase 5.
Are in Phase 5, yeah.
So,
but that's probably them trying to wipe the slate clean a little bit and doing some new characters. But why Thor 4 right away?
Why Thor 4? Why Black Widow? Like, if you want this phase to be new characters, give me new characters.
Well,
make it all new characters, and Spider-Man 3, because you have to.
Is it overcompensation for representation? Is that all it is?
No, because you just do that with new characters, right? Like,
yeah, but hear me out for a second. Thor 4 is doing that with a new character. They're going.
Sure.
What's a female character that we have that would probably sell? They're not wrong.
It's not Thor 4. It's Lady Thor 1.
It's Lady Thor 1. And Black Widow, they might be doing because of the backlash they got for not doing it earlier. And isn't it fascinating that it's set when it is?
And apparently it's all but confirmed that Rachel Weisz is going to be Black Widow 2. Like, she's going to be another Black Widow, and so they might hand that off.
Yeah.
They might legacy that.
That's probably what they'll
and so
do.
then...
Is
that why it's there? And so she doesn't look so much older because there's a 5-year time jump. But we're passing it off to a new Black Widow.
That's probably why.
So it has to be as close as it possibly can so that we can do a Black Widow 2 with this new Black Widow.
I didn't think of that. Maybe so.
Okay.
And then they're setting up Lady Hawkeye.
They are Kate Bishop. All these shows just legacy, like just we're handing it off to new people.
Yeah. Because
Hawkeye's another one who's gotten to do nothing. He has his scene in Age of Ultron, and that is Hawkeye. He's got the whole TV show. You know what it's about? Him stopping being Hawkeye.
I mean, it's important to note that he's a murderer now, so he's got that going for him.
Well, they told me that. I certainly didn't see it in the film.
Yeah, you did. You saw him murder someone.
I saw him murder one guy, and they're like, he's crazy now. He's just
and then they said he murdered a lot of people. Look, you might not think he's crazy enough, but he murdered people. We were told he murdered people.
He murdered people. That's true. That's true.
I'm just saying, it is a true statement that he murdered people.
Not Hulk. Thor murders people all the time. Nobody cares.
Well, look, he's held to a different standard.
It's the weird Wonder Woman rule. We're like, Wonder Woman murders people all the fucking time. Nobody cares.
Look, in her movie, she was at least at war, okay? Like, it was a war.
That's the whole thing Greg Rucka got into with Infinite Crisis with the Maxwell Lord neck snap. There's a whole thing about that where she's like, I killed a Minotaur yesterday. No one cared. I killed a human being and you're upset?
That's awesome.
I don't understand these rules.
So I was trying to talk about streaming, and then we got back to MCU for 20 minutes.
Of course we did.
That's what happens. So thanks a lot once again for watching the MCU Patreon show. We sure appreciate it. We'll be back next time to bitch some more about how much we fucking hate the MCU. Not true. Not true. Unless you're Eric.
No, I don't.
Or Dan.
It just so happened that my topics ended up that way.
Hyperbolic because you said like negative things about it, so you must like hate it like completely.
I mean, I'm not excited about it. I stand by my statement. It needs to die. At least in the form it is. Like, if this next wave of movies is like completely different, sweet. Like, give me something new. But like, I'm done with this flavor. I'm ready for the new flavor of what's next, or just more other flavors. If it wasn't just dominating.
But like, if it's true that Doctor Strange is kind of a horror movie, then that's great. And
like
horror-ish, and like what. Even with some of the prequels, to be fair, it does sound like a bunch of new different things. I just don't know if it will be. That's all.
Okay, but it needs to tonally be different. Like, we can't keep doing this Marvel thing. Like, it has to be, like, make it if it's a straight horror movie, great. If Shang-Chi is a straight, like, kung fu action, I'm not saying, like, you can't have fun with these movies. I'm not saying they should be super serious, but, like, it needs to genuinely feel different in the way that some of the early Marvel... We have not had Winter Soldier again.
I was going to say, when do I get that again? Because that's just like a real serious, sober movie with lots of levity.
Yeah.
That's the difference between a comedy that is masquerading as a drama.
Because...
And I don't think that some of the movies people say are that, but they're inching ever closer to it. And
it's... The thing that they've... The shift that occurred, I believe, is we went from witty banter to gags. And that, to me, is when we cross the line. I have no problem with any of the humor.
You saw it between the Guardians movies. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's like the major place where it loses it for me, where I'm like, Guardians walks that line so well, and then you get to Guardians 2, and it gets gaggy, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, and Guardians is also the...
I'm not saying that's the first place it happens, but that's where it becomes a problem for me.
The 1-2 punch of Guardians and Deadpool is what ruined the Marvel Universe, I think, as far as comedy goes.
Yeah.
Because they looked at two comedies and said, we'll do more of that.
Yeah.
I don't...
There were other lessons to learn.
You never get Winter Soldier again.
There were lessons to learn from both of those movies, which is risk is good.
Mm-hmm.
And characters that not a lot of people have heard of or know anything about could be the way forward. And
that you can branch out and do other things. Instead, we just did those things.
Which is what we always do. That's why NBC made like 5 Lost clones before they realized that wasn't going to work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's... Just give me other things. Guardians can be Guardians. Don't make Thor Guardians. Stop having gags in the middle of dramatic scenes. Like, just... Yeah. It's fine. I love Shane Black, right? Like, I'm not opposed to comedy. It's the gags. It's the interrupting scenes. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, and Iron Man 3 makes a joke out of what you thought was the villain, and it doesn't feel like a comedy masquerading as a drama to me.
No, because it's a plot twist that doesn't undermine the actual villain of the film. We didn't,
and nobody's had a character.
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok, that would have been the Mandarin. We would have gotten to him, and he would have been that guy. He would have been Trevor Slattery would have been the Mandarin if Taika Waititi made Iron Man 3.
At the very, very, very least, don't give me a little bit of credit, and don't tell me things are dramatic that aren't dramatic. If you just want to make a comedy, make a comedy. Don't make it Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because that's not Ragnarok.
Which maybe,
and I'm not saying
maybe Love and Thunder will do. Maybe Love and
what,
Thunder will take a much smaller, right? Like maybe.
Yeah, maybe it'll just be a comedy, and it'll be fine for a comedy, and it might not be what you want, but at least it's not totally uneven, and it's not like emotionally manipulative like I kind of think Ragnarok is.
It's not the single worst day Thor's ever had, and also the funniest Marvel movie.
Exactly. I mean, it drives me crazy. He's brought to his lowest point while I'm supposed to be laughing my ass off. I hate that.
Yeah.
They didn't find that balance, and they weren't interested in finding that balance.
No. Because they wrote that
and
character.
It just doesn't feel
and
like
now he's fat.
It just doesn't feel like storytelling to me.
Yeah.
It's like old school video games where the where the story is just there to get you to the next scene you're supposed to play. Like,
I'm also done with this shut up nerd culture where it's just like, yeah, I really hated Fat Thor. He ruined everything about that character and interrupted scenes. Shut up, nerd. It was funny. I'm really done with this. This is our thing now. Because that's what I'm seeing on the internet is everywhere. Because originally I saw, like when Ragnarok came out, I didn't see anybody negative. Now I'm seeing people complaining about Ragnarok and Endgame, what we do with Thor there and all of that stuff. And now it's just like, yeah, but they completely ruined and didn't get the character and don't care about the source material. Like, shut up, nerd, it's funny. Like, that's what I'm seeing.
That's your standard, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
The biggest problem with taking Thor the direction we did in Endgame was that Infinity War is in between it. And Infinity War goes...
Infinity War is the best Thor we ever had.
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
But he's as good as we've ever had him. I mean, the thing is, like, the way he's characterized in Thor through Avengers and even Age of Ultron is all fine. Like, I don't like Dark World as a movie, but Thor's characterization isn't exactly the problem in that. It's just dull and...
I was thinking more like the giant dwarf and the
Absolutely.
star that forges the...
But what I'm saying is in Ragnarok he's out of character, and then it feels that way in Endgame also.
Mm.
And it's like suddenly the director of Ragnarok came in and just did all the Endgame stuff. And you have Infinity War in between, where it's like the Russos come in and they go, well, this is what Thor's actually like, and they, like, in the most respectful way possible, kind of get him back to basics. And they do it through putting him in the comedy movie with Guardians at the beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. And in that, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, this is Thor again. And he's doing it in the middle of the comedy stuff. Like, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does Thor stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel like there's some real weightiness to what he went through in Ragnarok, almost like he experienced it differently than I did watching that movie. And then you get to Endgame, and we're right back to Ragnarok. I don't know what happened there. When the Russos say Endgame, or Infinity War and Endgame are not one long movie, they are two movies, that is one of the big places where they're absolutely right about that.
It's almost like, because remember, they don't shoot them at the same time, they shoot them back to back.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like they have a general idea what's going to happen in Ragnarok, how it's all going to play out, but they haven't seen Ragnarok. And they make Endgame. Ragnarok comes out, and now all of a sudden, because Ragnarok made $1 billion,
you know what?
Taika Waititi is now the definitive voice of Thor.
Oh my God, you're so right. I bet that's right. I bet that's exactly what happened.
I bet you they did not know the tone and flavor of Ragnarok when they made...
It couldn't have been affected by Ragnarok, could it?
I don't think so. But
or at least it couldn't have been affected by the success of Ragnarok.
But Endgame could have.
Oh boy, I didn't think of that. Because weirdly, the absolute opposite thing happened with Defenders. Do you remember? Where they couldn't have known how the audience was going to react to
Iron Fist?
Iron Fist. And they just assumed that people would like it, so they made it more like Iron Fist?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that weird?
Mm-hmm.
With this, they just went, well, we've got like Thor, we're going to make it like we always made Thor.
Yeah. And now he's Fat Thor, and isn't that funny? Isn't it funny they barges into every single scene and he's fat? God, that was the most obnoxious thing about seeing that movie.
No, it's
every
not.
single time he was on screen, the audience could not stop laughing.
That's
Just
the
him
thing
being there!
And the thing is, I didn't like that stuff. I don't think I would have disliked it as much as I did if it weren't listening to the audience, listening to people after talking about how funny they thought it was. It's so meme-baity is part of the problem.
And Chris Hemsworth continues to be the, like, I don't even know how to call it. I don't want to say, like, worst actor, but, like, the hair thing pisses me off a lot. Where I'm like, I'm sorry, you know about the hair thing, right? With Ragnarok?
I don't right off know what we're talking about.
So they cut Thor's hair in Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Because a couple of $1 million isn't enough money to justify him wearing a wig for the whole shoot. He doesn't want to wear the wig, so they cut his hair. That's why his hair gets cut. It's because he didn't want to wear the fucking wig for millions of fucking dollars. And they were worried they might get hurt in that fat suit. They were real worried about him on the shoot of Endgame because he had to wear that fat suit and it felt dangerous. I'm like, actors have been wearing fat suits since the dawn of cinema. Yeah, why is he fucking special? Why is he the special snowflake that gets everything? I don't get it.
Yeah. I don't understand that either.
You know what else is weird? I don't think I dislike Chris Hemsworth. I think it's everybody around him. I think he seems like a lovely individual.
And part of the problem, I mean, a lot of the reason I didn't like the whole Fat Thor thing is it was obviously one of the big things where the comedy seemed to be driving characters' choices and motivations.
He's also not worthy.
Well, yeah, I mean that's.
It's not about what's deep down. That's not how the spell works. We know that in the first movie.
I've talked about this, but this is not where I was going to go with this. But you're right, that too. But I want to mention this because this is a thing I've never brought up. I don't think.
Maybe you're not worthy because we're passing off in the next fucking movie.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is like, that's the place to do it. You go, he's unworthy, and then you end that on kind of the cliffhanger if he can't pick up the hammer, so he's like, well, fuck it, I guess I'll just go hang out with the Guardians.
Yeah.
You left him in the same goddamn place, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, but the thing I was going to say is, his motivation for deciding to go ahead and help out the Avengers when he is in New Asgard and just wallowing in his own misery is maybe they have better beer on board?
Mm-hmm.
I just, like, no. And they play that for comedy like it's funny, and it's not. And he's just like, what kind of beer is it? And then he goes on the ship.
That guy's not worthy.
But not only is that guy not worthy, he wouldn't go on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
He's got plenty of beer where he is. He keeps ordering it. He can get whatever he wants. He's like, what kind do you have? Oh, you have a kind I like. So I'm going to get on the ship and go, no.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that dumb?
Mm-hmm.
That was where that whole thing really lost me. It wasn't just he's fat and we're making fun of that and it's supposed to be hilarious and I can't even hear the dialogue because the audience is laughing so hard. And
I'm also confused by in the same way I am with the career of Melissa McCarthy and Rebel Wilson. So we're not fat shaming. We're not being mean about people's bodies. But Fat Thor is okay and hilarious. Isn't that a weird place we're in culturally?
Yeah, but there's been a lot of outrage about that.
Oh, is there?
Oh yeah. No,
that's why he's fat.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a whole like culture around or however you want to put it. There's a whole group online that is very vocal that's complained that Fat Thor is fat shaming and that like they don't like
okay.
they don't like
at least they're consistent.
They don't like Tony making fun of him and calling him whatever it is he calls him.
Big Lebowski.
Bill Lebowski, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And all that.
Huh, okay, well...
You don't know about this? I mean,
Nope, totally missed it.
Okay.
Well, at least they're consistent. I thought it was weird they didn't come out... Be confident with yourself, but, like, unhealthy is unhealthy, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You aren't born fat. Like, it's not one of those things, I'm sorry.
I just think it could have... I think you could have done that whole thing and just handled it with some care, but it didn't come from that place in the first place, so of course I can't expect care.
And we just had him well last movie, like... You know what I mean? Like, it's even worse because of that's
the whole point I was trying to make.
Yeah.
It's way worse because of Infinity War. At least it would have felt like a consistent new direction, even though I didn't like it. But then he's great in that movie, and yeah. Well, we're already an hour and a half in. I guess we're gonna go ahead and say goodbye to you guys and go on our merry way. I hope you enjoyed the show. Again,
the MCU
bashing. We just don't like MCU anymore.
Yeah.
Show.
I'm definitely excited for Shang-Chi.
It's not true. I'm stoked for Doctor Strange, man. I really am. I think there's so much potential.
I'm looking forward to a trailer. to tell me that we're doing what I want. What I want.
Okay, I guess I'm saying I want to be really excited about that.
Yeah.
And that's the one I've got the most hope for, I guess, is what I'll
And
say.
I guess Shang-Chi is mine. I have no faith in Eternals. I do not believe that the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now can do a Jack Kirby movie with the grandeur
I don't
and.
disagree with that. Hopefully they can. Hopefully they put the right people on it and they can. But I don't know who's making that movie. I don't really care until it comes out.
Yeah.
But
It's a weird cast too.
honestly,
Angelina Jolie.
yeah, I know. Isn't that fascinating?
We don't usually cast big like that.
For like the main character in a movie, you're right.
It's
yeah.
very strange. Like that's.
It's because she's got a Disney contract, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's
but
because she's doing Maleficent over there.
it's
and-
distracting. Like every other actor we've ever done, or usually is something you haven't seen for a while, or something that's
Right.
not huge yet, and so forevermore you will see Chris Hemsworth as Thor, you will see Chris Pratt as, and Chris Pratt was on a sitcom, but like you'll see Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. I'm not going to see Angelina Jolie as whatever character she's playing.
Sure.
It's very strange.
No, and that kind of stunt casting has always been for background
Villains.
characters or villains, or not background characters, supporting characters or villains.
Mm-hmm.
Or characters that you expected to be the villain or weren't, and then vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I don't think I need these things in the theater anymore. That's my big thing. Is like just put it all on Disney Plus. Just don't make movies anymore. Just have it all serialized.
Yeah, I don't have a drive to see these films in theaters.
I mean, well, I don't get excited about the theater anymore in the way I used to, and I kind of hate that. And it's not because it's not just because we've made so many of these movies and there's so much superhero stuff. It's because that's taken over as hard as it has. There's just not enough variety of other things that I want to go to the theater, so I just don't get excited to go to the theater. And so much stuff ends up not being great or worth my time, and so then I see it and then I'm kind of bummed out, and so I wait for a lot more things to come out, or I wait until somebody says, "Oh my God, this is amazing," somebody I trust that tells me I got to go see it.
Well, and then there's also that because this is now the most mainstream thing on the planet, all the mainstream awful people come to the theater even on opening day, because midnight showings are no longer a special thing that like dedicated fans go to. We open the doors at 6 o'clock, and there's no good showing to go to avoid those people.
It's true.
It's unfortunate.
No, you need to be a paid critic that gets to go 2 weeks early.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. There's no good environment at a theater to watch a Marvel movie, I don't think. Unfortunately.
and you're going to get to the point where people aren't going to feel the need to go to the theater, except for the instant gratification thing.
Mm.
But someday we'll be in a place where it'll be day and date, or really close to day and date, and I don't know. I'm hearing more and more people complaining about theater-going experiences and how they just don't even want to leave their house anymore. And it's disappointing because it's one of the only things that you still kind of have to leave your house to go do.
Well, and
Because you want to see a thing right when it comes out.
I've heard that for a long time, but I think as the geeky things have become the mainstream things, it's gotten worse for our crowd because it's our movies. You don't get the respite of going at midnight when only fans are going. You have to go when everyone's going. There's no good time to see them, and so I think it's gotten worse for us specifically.
Yeah.
But I've always heard people like for years like people proudly like I don't go to the movie theater. Like I just don't. I will not deal with those people. I will not deal with people throwing up and on their phone and babies and like I'm not dealing with it.
People like laughing at every damn thing.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And what I hear a lot is,
Sitting right behind me munching food.
and I agree with this to a degree. I mean, like I get lucky more often than not, but it happens, of course. We have really bad theater going experiences. But like, what I hear from a lot of people too is, I go and I have this bad experience, and then I don't enjoy the movie as much. And if I see it at home, isolated, then I know that it's just me and the movie, and
Mm-hmm.
I can actually take it on its own terms, and I don't have all these variables.
Mm.
But then there's crowd pleasers. There are some movies that are better to watch with an audience. There's some movies that you might not like as well if there's not 50 other people laughing at the things you're laughing at. So I mean, it's sticky.
Well, and
UHF was a 3 times funnier movie with 100 people.
I bet it was. I
mean, it really was. Like, I like that movie more now because it was almost like seeing a band play a song at a concert that I didn't care about in the studio recording, if that makes any sense. It was just a different experience going and seeing it with a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
The performance is the same. Obviously, that's where that metaphor breaks down. But you see what I'm saying.
was something else I was gonna tag onto that with. Yeah, I don't. But maybe that's why we go to movie theaters now, is to see old movies that everyone already loves.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't need to see the new ones. But like, and also
Disney's going to need to buy out their own movie theater chain so that we can see old Disney movies now, because...
And also, like, this is kind of a me thing. I know you don't have this as bad as I do, but like, there's nothing worth seeing in Marvel movies because it's all CGI. It's not spectacle for me anymore because it's all CGI.
No, I have that too. To some degree.
I get nothing from the fight in Endgame. Nothing cool happens. No one does anything. It's not real. And so I can't get excited.
It's a curtain call is what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
They did kind of get me with a curtain call. I mean, like, again, say I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. The first time I saw that, it did get me. It worked for me.
When, like, the third act of your movie is a giant action scene and no cool action happens, other than, look, it's Hawkeye! Look, it's Doctor Strange! I can't get invested. I can't...
Especially because they're coming.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen.
Yeah. The girls are standing in one place.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, but what are they doing? What are they doing that's cool in your action scene?
Yeah, you don't even
that's the climax of 10 years of movies. What are you giving me?
You don't even care that much that they contrived that to happen.
If they were all doing cool shit, I wouldn't have cared as much.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah.
But they kind of just stand there.
So, like, these big spectacle movies, like I said in the...
You know what my wife said? We came home, and I mentioned that scene to my wife because I've heard, of course, a lot of people complain. I didn't even notice it until the second viewing.
People said there's one in Infinity War.
Oh.
I kept seeing people saying, like, I didn't mind the one in Infinity War
I don't know
because
what they're talking about.
that means it worked.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Because if we didn't notice it, it was well done.
Again, I'll say I didn't notice this one until the second.
Okay, I noticed it immediately.
It was I don't know. It was fast enough that I didn't know. I guess it just didn't even occur to me. Oh, they're putting all the ladies together. But I mentioned it to my wife, and she was like, yeah, I didn't really notice that they did that. I guess it was all the girls. I wasn't even thinking about it. And then I said, well, how do you feel about it? And she said, well, now that I'm thinking about it, the hell is Mantis gonna do? That's what she said. She was like, "Was she gonna put the Chitauri to sleep?" That's what she said.
But like,
so that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
And this is why I was like, I didn't need to fucking see Endgame in theaters. You know, I didn't need to see it in theaters. John Wick Chapter 3.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
And people call me out on that. Were like, well, why is CGI always bad? You know what? CGI is not always bad. Loved Godzilla. You know why? Cool shit happened. We use that CGI to do something. The Marvel movies aren't doing anything for me. They're using it to do rote action. If they were using it to do awesome action, it'd be fine.
Yeah, and if you wanted to stare at comic covers or at comic panels, you could go read a comic book.
Yeah. You're just not giving me anything.
You know what I needed to see in theaters?
What?
Jurassic House. It was very important.
Yeah.
I had to see it that way.
Yeah. I agree. That's a movie that's heightened by an audience that is not laughing. It's a dead silent audience.
It was so much funnier because nobody thought what I thought was funny.
Yep.
They were taking it seriously, and I don't mean to belittle people and laugh at people, but that was really funny. Where I was like, wait, you guys are either into this or you're appalled, and I can't do either of those things. What I'm gonna do is go, this is amazing.
I had one recently that was kind of fascinating.
You guys made Reanimator with dinosaurs, and that's fucking amazing.
And this will be the last thing. We'll actually stop.
We've ended this video so many times.
Yeah. So, but I saw one recently.
You're welcome.
My girlfriend and I go to a thing every Tuesday called Terror Tuesday, where they show old horror movies, and they've been playing big movies, which are not what I consider big movies. But they've been playing big movies.
The biggest movies that they can get their hands on. That they're allowed to show.
I don't even know. Like, they're like, we're doing big crowd drawers, and I'm like, are you Piranha? Deep Blue Sea? Seen Stir of Echoes this week. I never even heard of Stir of Echoes.
I don't know what that is.
That's one of their big draws. It's got Kevin Bacon in it, so I guess it's a big draw.
Maybe I don't know every movie that you guys have gone and seen, or maybe I don't remember. I've not gone to any of those. I don't think there's one that you've been to that I would feel I need to see in the theater.
I just saw Fright Night. It's amazing. Worth seeing in theaters.
I mean, I've never seen it.
No. Fright Night was absolutely worth seeing in theaters. There's a couple other ones that
I'm
we're
also
seeing.
not a horror guy. I'm
Yeah.
not going to go to the theater to see horror movies.
Uh,
More than likely.
We've
Depends on
been
what
in
it
a
is.
weird slog.
I'm glad I saw Jaws in the theater, but like,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of stuff I feel the need to go see in the theater.
We've been in a weird slog for a little bit, but next month, picking up, we're getting to see Creep Show, which is great.
Okay.
Wicker Man, the original Wicker Man. There's a bunch of cool stuff coming out. But, so, we went and saw, because this is the big crowd pleaser draw, like, mainstream movies that they're trying to do for the
Tell
summer.
me if they ever do Candyman, because I've never seen Candyman.
Sure.
And I would go to the big screen to see Candyman.
Sure.
Just because I love that actor.
Also, they're working on this weird thing. This could be a whole other thing. I'm just going to mention it real briefly. Do companies know that adults don't get summer breaks?
No, they don't.
Because
They don't seem to.
they did these big summer crowd pleasers because it's the summer and you can tell your friends, hey, come to the movies. And I was like, what friends?
Everybody's working.
How is this different than any other point in the year?
My friends are not all teachers or janitors at schools.
Yeah, I don't. It's very strange. Anyways, so we saw Blair Witch Project. And I'd always had the impression that Blair Witch Project was a movie that you shouldn't watch unless you were there at the time. Where like people kind of like have.
Had you never seen it?
I'd never seen it. I'd never.
I
watched
have. It. I wouldn't want to see that on the big screen. I'd get sick. It jostles around, so I don't think I can handle it. Like, ugh.
But I was always under the impression that like the reason I never watched it is because I was under the impression like you needed to see that in 1999 when that came out in theaters with a crowd who all think this maybe kind of actually happened.
It's actually not true. It's an okay movie.
I disagree. I think it's boring as sin.
Okay.
Okay. I stand by the statement that I had like when I went into the movie. I was like, I'm glad I saw that for like educational purposes.
Yeah.
But like when I know for a fact that none of this is real, nothing happens in that movie.
Okay. Yeah.
But here's the thing that's weird
It was fun knowing that people thought that and that people involved in it didn't know. That was kind of fun. I could put myself in the time and place to some degree. I also saw it with Tim Lyons, and I think we talked through the whole thing.
Yeah, I sat in the theater. But here's the thing: is they made this big deal about seeing this movie, which the guy does every time. But like they made this big deal about seeing this movie, and it was a good turnout. It's not as good a turnout as they wanted, but it's a good turnout. People want to see the Blair Witch Project, and they always ask like how many people are seeing this for the first time. Like you're going to experience this with people for the first time. He's like, some of you are going to scream, and like there was like a woman that like shamefully like raised her hand. You know, I didn't hear that entire movie anything.
Nobody was scared of anything.
Nobody was scared of anything. That had the reverse effect.
It's not going to hold up in that way, absolutely.
Of like a theater going like, I didn't get to hear the people be like, oh my god, because nothing happens in that movie. I think that movie's only scary if you think it's real. Because nothing happens. But there's a quick review. We said we never review anything on Patreon. There's a quick review for
that was more of a review for. Well, I guess it was sort of a review. I was going to say
because I gave my opinions on the film after now having seen it.
Yeah, you did do that. Yeah, shame on you. I'm going to cut that part out.
Yeah,
it's out now.
Anyways, so
you guys are never going to get to see that.
Good night, everybody. It's well after dark now.
It's so after dark. I'm going to fall asleep just right here in my chair. I really am. You guys are. There's this. I gotta say this really quick. In the DS9 documentary, in What We Left Behind, there's this great bit of a Wallace Shawn interview. You know who Wallace Shawn is?
No.
He's Grand Agazek, and he's the guy from Princess Bride.
Yes, it is.
But so they're talking about they have
the man who ruined the word inconceivable.
Yes, there's a whole section of that movie about how long the hours were making that show, and he talks about how there's a scene in an episode where he as Grand Agazek is sitting in a chair, and they've been shooting for so long that during the scene while the camera is rolling he falls asleep, and he says it's just a really kind of unusual thing because ordinarily you're awake when someone is filming you. I just thought that was really funny.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, they worked those long hours. They wore like thick prosthetics. And, you know, Thor bitches about having to wear a wig.
I knew you were gonna say that. Anyway, everybody thanks a lot.
Paid way more than any of those actors ever got paid.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, Wallace Shawn was just a working actor.
But
yeah,
he doesn't want to wear a wig. Don't support Chris Hemsworth movies. Just saying. Maybe he doesn't deserve those paychecks.
Look, I'm with you, but there might be another side to that story. Okay, I don't know what Chris Hemsworth's side of that story is. You know, maybe it's like the most uncomfortable wig in the world. You know,
Get a different wig.
Man,
We've been making wigs for a long time.
I'm having a really hard time arguing with you, so I'm not going to. But Eric's really on about this wig thing.
Fucking Sean Connery wore a wig in every single movie he's ever been in. Well, at least till he did the thing where he's like, I'm old and I'm bald now. But
That's true.
it's between movies.
Yeah, but he pulled that off okay. Like, that looked all right, you know.
Well, but I'm saying, he just stopped being, he just became bald. He just finally acknowledged it because he was older now.
Yeah, there's like the movie where he's an old man pretending to not be an old man, and then he's just an old man. And
Yeah.
it's fine.
And he's bald.
What was that movie, do you know?
I have no idea,
You
but
know?
I want to look through his thing and be like, because there must be,
I'm
because he
gonna
doesn't do
assume
the
it
gradual
was-
thing. There was just a movie where he's all of a sudden bald.
I'm gonna assume it was Entrapment. That's what I'm going with. It was Entrapment.
It's not Entrapment because he's bald in Indiana Jones and he's bald in Red Hunt for Red
Oh, that's
October.
true. It goes back that far.
Which is funny because he's only 5 years older than Harrison Ford.
Wow, that's true.
Yeah. Or maybe 10.
Well, you'll never
He's
see
just a little bit older than
You'll
Harrison
never
Ford.
see a straight up bald Harrison Ford. Like,
No, because Harrison Ford's not bald.
well, that's why you won't see it.
But Sean Connery's been bald. In Dr. No, he's wearing a wig.
Yeah, so he had a receding hairline.
Yeah. He's just always...
But you never saw it recede because he was just wearing a wig the whole time.
Yeah, and then just one day, he took his wig off, and he was bald. And no one noticed. Everyone's like, yeah, he went bald.
See, I bet that's what happened with Patrick Stewart and nobody knows it. Everybody, thanks for watching. Sure appreciate it. Good night. We'll see you next time. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
Goodbye. Farewell.